All right, day 17, starting right where day 16 left off. Back in the new building, taking a look at what we've got. And today I need to do a lot of stuff, but I'm not gonna have much time to do it. And I'm probably gonna have to accept that. I'm only gonna get part of it done. I don't think it's gonna happen. So I'm over here just to kind of check in on things, and then I'm gonna make a run to Lowe's, not to buy any lumber this time. I need to get a few things like probably some contractor sized garbage bags. We've kind of been generating a lot of trash here. I need to pack things up. I have definitely, over the thoughts here over the night was how I can fix this shelf. And it's actually gonna be very simple. So when we built this, Lori had this idea of making this brace here in the middle that kind of gives this whole thing stability. And it's actually a very simple way to solve this problem. Essentially, these three pieces are just too far apart for the shelf that I have that needs to rest on here. And so it's actually a really simple solution, and I'm not sure why we didn't think of that. Well, of course, the thing maybe we were thinking yesterday was, oh, we don't want to take apart what we've already built, but we are going to have to take these shelves off because they're just not going to be strong enough to hold these heavier neckerchief boxes. But the solution is we're going to have to take this piece off and just cut it an inch or two. Of course, we'll measure before we do that. We just need to kind of bring all of this in closer, and then the shelves will fit right here on the braces that we already have built. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We've got these built in. These are just the jigs holding everything in place, but we need to make this smaller so that it'll come in and the shelves that I have will fit on here. So I think that's gonna be the solution. And Lori already has her saw to do that with. So that might be a Monday thing. It's not something I'm gonna try to do here without any help. But yeah, this is the beginning of day 17. I'm gonna head to Lowe's now, and then also the guy who is doing the computers, I'm gonna check in with him because he said he's gonna come back and do a little more work and just make sure everything's good to go here. Okay, back over at the old building, and I want to see the progress that the ladies made yesterday in packing everything up. I saw it on my end where we received it at the new building and started putting it on the shelf, but I haven't been back over here to see what it all looks like now. And I also thought this might be a good opportunity just to kind of give it one more look over here in the warehouse, because this is all going to be gone. It turns out now, pushed back to Tuesday. Thank you, Super Ice Storm Apocalypse Armageddon. I got a call from Rhonda at the moving company, and they said, yeah, let's just push it back to Tuesday with everything going on, so that's fine. So I want to show you this warehouse and just talk a little bit about what we were using it for and kind of contrast it with the new building and some of the opportunities there. And I also want to plug a video that you can go back and find, and I'll link it in my show notes, from Consignment Chats. So I think it was in, is it 2022, 2023? I can't remember now. I'm starting to lose track. There was an event in Charlotte named FlipCon that I didn't even know the first one was happening. I think there were two of them before. Harry Tornado, I believe that's who was running it, and another guy who I apologize, I don't recall the guy who helped him get the first one off the ground. They ran basically a reseller event in Charlotte that was like a 2 or 3 day long event with speakers and different things. And I was like, oh man, I was right here in Charlotte. So I literally drove to it and just, drove back to my house at night. But by that point, I was already in the Consignment Chat community with Libby and Molly and Samantha. And so Libby and Molly attended that event, and that's where we met for the first time in person. You have all these sort of virtual people you meet, whether it's in your Patreon group or Facebook groups, or however you have a community in the reseller space. But I met them in person, and I don't know who suggested the idea, but the day after, when FlipCon was over, they drove over here and did a tour of my warehouse. And that was really the first time anybody had ever videotaped that kind of a thing. And it was kind of cool. I'm going to definitely, go back and look at that later to kind of remember what everything looked like. But let me turn on a couple more lights, and I'll kind of show you guys a little bit of this. So this is all packed up. This office was, I think it was several different things. I think there was a realty kind of firm that was here at one point. And then right prior to me moving in, there was like a surveying group. So actually, when I first looked at it, there was actually some of the carpet that had like really bad clay stains, from like red clay, where the guys would be going out and surveying. And so the landlord did replace some of the carpet in some of the spots and kind of made it look better, which was good. I appreciated that. So you kind of had this weird little foyer area, and what I used it for was a display. You can see the hooks here. I need to get all those down eventually. This was kind of my display area, and the nice thing about the new building, again, I'm compare and contrast them, is I will have a gigantic display area in the new building, so I'll be able to hang up all of this stuff that I've collected over the years. I've been collecting scouting memorabilia now for over 35 years, and so I have a lot of trophies and frames and patches and everything I want to put on the wall, and so I'm really looking forward to that. That will be fun. Then over here, again, you know, you think about this was, what was this for? You know, why did somebody have a sliding glass window here? I never really figured that out. But this was obviously my office, and this is where I kind of did all my stuff. My desk here, you know, my little thing, my computer. This was a TV that I was using as another monitor, and my little couch. So whenever I'd have people who'd come visit me, I'd be in my little swivel chair, and I would invite them to sit on the couch, and we would talk about stuff. And I had, you know, the walls are all filled with stuff, so that was pretty fun. This desk right here I got from a Restore warehouse, and in the new office, this is going to become the desk in the back where I'm going to set up my permanent YouTube streaming area, so that I can have like a permanent setup. This I'm really looking forward to. When I do my unboxing videos, I won't have to move any equipment. I won't have to move the cameras or anything. It'll just all be there. And that's going to be a great purpose for this desk, because I do have fond memories of this desk, but at the same time, I'm also looking forward to kind of getting a new workstation that'll look pretty and fresh, and kind of starting over there. So, all right, so this was kind of me. This was my office up front. A lot of times, random people would come through that door, and my little security thing would say, front door open. And I'd be like, hello, yes, what, you know. And a lot of times it was like, for all the car people, as I've shared in other episodes, it would be like DoorDash for them. And since I was the first suite, I'm suite A here, people would come to this door. And so I was always here to catch people. And that's one reason why in the new building, my office is also at the front, just to kind of catch any kind of things coming in like that. So, a little bit of good karma. When I was walking in, I don't know how this happened. I mean, this is karma. I just happened to like step down, and I saw a car key laying in the gravel, reached down and picked it up, and I was like, well, of course this belongs to the car guy who I complained about in one of the previous installments. So I thought, okay, this is my chance to kind of go over there and be, you know, Mr. Nice. So I go over there. They were here on a weekend. You know, hello. They're back in their warehouse. The whole thing reeked of gasoline. It was kind of weird smell back there. But anyways, so I showed the guys. It says, you know, I just said to him, oh, I think I found something that belongs to you. I said, have you been looking for this? And he was like, oh, thank you. You know, apparently they lost a key to one of the cars that's parked next to my building. And so then he asked if I was moving, and I said I was on Tuesday now. And so I suggested to him, although he hasn't caught on yet, that he might want to move a couple of his cars because they're kind of close to my building. And if these guys are pushing a big moving truck, you know, backing up a big moving truck, you know, we don't want to have any accidents. So we'll see if he'll do that. So I don't know. But anyways, karma. So we have a bathroom here. This has been really nice. Kind of spoiled me a little bit. This is one of the reasons why I really like this building, was to have two bathrooms. So my employees can kind of use one. This is the one that's nicer. And for whatever reason, this one, the landlord never like changed the carpet or anything. This one was kind of smaller and just, you know, anyway. So like boys and girls, that worked out well. We have these little tiny offices, and I mean, literally they're about 9 feet wide. So they are tiny. And this one started off kind of being my collection room, and a lot of these that are tagged yellow, this is all sort of collection stuff for me, things that I want to keep. And then we needed the space, so we turned it into a photography area. We used this table here, we set up a camera, we would take pictures. Now my daughter, you see these lights are kind of blinky. My daughter, it would drive her crazy to be in here with these blinky lights. But you know what? LEDs don't do that, so I don't think I'm going to have that problem anymore going forward. But this was a good space for us. And then over here we had another room, again, tiny little like 9-foot room. And what I did here was I took, the desk is all made just from scratch for me. and I was reusing IKEA furniture for my children. So you can kind of tell this little blue here, that looks a little IKEA. That's not the IKEA blue I kept joking about. But that's what I did there, this countertop. I was like, oh, that'd be like good to recycle that. And actually it has been pretty good. So I made a little L-shaped desk here, and we use this as a listing office as well. Had a station monitor here, and then this back here was where we would process some inventory and kind of get things ready. So all of this will come. The hallway, I would hang stuff up in the hallway as well, a little narrow hallway there. And then this was kind of our main office where two of my employees that you've probably heard me talk about, Julie and Shannon, would work. These two tables here, we would do our shipping and stuff. And then over here, we have our best hobby pages. I think I've shown you this before. But I wanted to come, again, come and see how it's starting to be broke down. So they kind of gathered up everything they thought was important and took it over already. Everything else that's left will be up to the movers to move, and they'll have, I believe, some rolling bins where they can just place all these loose things in rolling bins and get them on the truck. So that'll be fine as well. So, and then my next task is to come back here. You can see they've moved all of the live listed inventory. The only thing we have left is some inventory here that are things we have photographed but have not yet listed. And so all of this has been photographed, and I believe it's got yellow tags on it telling us what the SKUs are and everything, so that's ready to go. Then you can see again piles of wood here where I've been taking down shelves, and that's what my next job is going to be. I'm going to be working here for the next 2 or 3 hours depending on how long my family can live without me, and just start at the top and start breaking down all of this shelving. Probably save this one for last because I'm going to have to move all these boxes in order to take that down. So that might be the last thing that happens. We'll kind of see. I'm probably going to start attacking this. Well, I probably need to start with this one over here because this one is kind of standing by itself and it's a little wonky. So this is sort of freestanding, but it doesn't have any kind of a brace holding it up. So my employees yesterday told me they leaned this bookshelf up against it to keep it from coming down. So I think what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of zip ties, and I think what I can do is zip tie this temporarily to this other shelf just to hold it in place. And what I'll be doing is getting up on the ladder and just taking the screws out and sliding the shelves out. The good thing is for me, which might help me get this done in the next couple hours, is I don't have to take the ladders apart. Obviously, the ladder pieces are just going to come with me. All I have to do is there's probably 1 or 2 screws in each of these shelves. Pop those out, slide them out, take them. I don't have to worry about this at all. These are just stacked on top of each other, and the movers will do that. So I'll come here next, boom, boom, probably move these over, take this down, and I'll just keep working around and see how far I can get. So this is a solo day. It's not great to be on a ladder by yourself. Only thing stupid to happen, but I will take it slow and safe and get her done. So I'll record the last probably clip of this day when I'm done. I see how much I get done, and I'll show you the progress. Okay, I'm back at the building. I just said goodbye to Anthony from PC Paramedic. He did come back over to double check on some things having to do with the computer setup. I just had a little activation that wouldn't go through yesterday, and he got it done. So he's back on the road. Interesting little thing I discovered. We were having some problems with the internet yesterday, and he said, looking around, there were some outages going on. But then today, he was able to really diagnose something that was happening. And to me, it's so fascinating. So let me just kind of show you. I was working here at this computer, and when I set these computers up, obviously I wanted to have him come and run lines so that everything could plug in with Ethernet. I mean, that's just, to me, a bit of a layman when it comes to setting up computers. That is just like so obvious. You would have your router over there, you would run these wires. As you can kind of see, we have wires run everywhere. None of this looks pretty right now. This is all temporary. But this is so fascinating. So these laptops, I didn't mention this before, but I should say that all of the laptops here, all but one, I bought online from the Blind Sitter of Nevada. And the reason why that matters to anybody is because when you, if you'd ever heard of the Boss Reseller Remix, it was held in Las Vegas at the Blind Center, and the resellers there would really try to support the Blind Center, of course, as a nonprofit. And one way that we could do that is by buying from them, because they are an electronic recycler. They take in from the Las Vegas area old electronic equipment, and they either refurbish it and resell it, or they break it down into parts and then recycle it and sell off the bits and pieces. And when I was there at the Boss Reseller Remix in March of 2025, I got to see that operation. They had like, you know, backdoor tours you could take. So I did that and got to see what they were doing. So when it was time for me to think about creating these workstations, I went ahead and went to their eBay store, and I was kind of scoping it out. And they had some laptops that were probably 4 or 5 years old, but they weren't that old. They were still very serviceable. And I was able to get them for about $150 each. And I ran this by Anthony at PC Paramedic, and he said, oh no, those are good machines. Because he could also get me machines, obviously, but he even today told me, I guess he was just thinking about it, it's like, you only paid $150 for these? That's a pretty good deal. Like, so, you know, I didn't go through him to get them, but which maybe that would have worked out better for him. So anyway, supporting the Blind Center of Nevada. Here's what we discovered though. For some reason, the Ethernet, there's like this, and again, layman here, don't understand it. There's some kind of a card that interfaces with that. And it's like a lot of things in a computer, you can upgrade the cards or whatever. But when we plugged in these laptops and ran a speed test off of the Ethernet cable going to my, you know, internet, it was like 10 megabytes, which is terrible. It's not good at all. And we kind of tested all of them. But if you unplug it and go through Wi-Fi, these computers were getting upwards of 400 megabytes. And again, I don't know if that's per second, bit rate, blah, 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 blah. I don't have that. I don't understand that well enough to explain it to you. But I can explain, like, from 9 to 400 is a gigantic leap. And so what Anthony set up for me is a big, big upgrade over what Time Warner brought as far as the little internet, the wireless piece. So when Time Warner comes back, I'm going to give them that piece back. And now we have this setup that Anthony's provided, which has got really good Wi-Fi in the back, which we won't go in the back right now. I'll show you that once we get kind of a little setup better with painting and stuff. But we have a great connection there. And then up front, we have great connection as well. So really throughout the building, we have really high speeds, upwards of 300 megabytes per second, I think is what it's called. And so that's a plenty. And so, yeah, that's going to be great. We're pumped about that. At least I am. Whatnot shipping is done. I am overdue for this, so I'm probably going to take it straight over to my local post office and go to the electronic little check-in station, and I'll scan these all in and drop them in the drop box so I could get these off. And then I need to get back over to the warehouse and take down some shelves. So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of work. All right, here we go. All right, I'm at a little bit of a stopping point. Unfortunately, all 3 of the batteries for my drills have died. And that's got me at a point, but it's actually perfect timing because I had told my wife that I would come home and grill some meat that we have so that we'll have some food to eat the next couple of days, especially with this snow and ice storm approaching quickly tomorrow. So I needed to go home anyways, and it is never a bad thing to come home about 30 or 45 minutes before your spouse expects you. Every once in a while you can get a brownie point for that, so that's what I'm shooting for. But let me show you the progress. Whoa! All right, we had some stuff come down. So all of this shelf is down. This entire shelf here, all down as well. Got the pieces stacked up, got them over here. And so that is a lot of progress. I feel really good about it. I will come back after making dinner for the family, and I will finish taking all this apart. Unfortunately, I just still have to keep going because all of this needs to come down as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we have quite a lot of inventory here. This stuff down here is sorted, but not photographed yet. And that's why my employees left it behind, and it's tagged like this. So it's ready to be photographed, but you know, they were trying to make decisions about what they could bring over. And so they left this. This we will keep here for the moving guys. And everything is already individually shrink wrapped, so that's not going to be a problem. And then these big ones up here are also items that are sorted and not photographed, and so that's fine too. Unfortunately for me, I'm going to have to get all those off of the shelves. I will probably use this black countertop here since all that stays, this was original to the building. So all this, of course, stays. I've got to get those down as well. So I probably ought to get those down before I mess with that. But anyway, there is a little order to this. But so it's going to be a long day, but you know, I got to break it up a little bit. They got to go take care of the family. So let me go do that now. And I will make a quick pit stop, although I doubt I'll film it, at the new building to plug in these drills and get them charged up. All right, guys, it's about 7 o'clock at night. It's freezing outside, literally, below freezing. And I'm back. Went home, had dinner with the family, spent some time there, but the storm is approaching. I can see it right now. It's out there, and I believe in Alabama, and it's headed east. So I've got to make as much progress as I can. I think I told my wife I'd try to be home around 9, so give myself a few more hours to try to knock this out, and hopefully I can, so let me get to it. Well, in a lot of the videos I've done in this series, I've tried to have an interesting backdrop. Plain white drywall is not a very interesting backdrop. Although in this case, as I walk back, it is a great backdrop because I got all of the wooden shelving taken down. Oh man, all by myself. I had a carpenter who was a scout leader in our troop help me put this up to begin with. He kind of designed it, and you can kind of see what he did. He created these boxes and then laid plywood on top of it. It really was a very sturdy design. The only problem for me in trying to take it down was he had hidden some screws like underneath his rib boards, what I would call it. And so I had to take the rib boards out to get to the hidden screws, because that's of course where these lines are, where the studs are. And so, man, it took a long time. The other ones that I took down, they were nothing. It was like, bzz, bzz, bzz. It was good. But taking this monster down, that is what's taken me probably over an hour to get that one down. But I did. I didn't, hurt myself or anything. It's a little bit after 9 o'clock. And although you can't probably hear it, there is some little tinkle, tinkle, tinkle sounds on this metal roof, which I believe is sleet. And so at a few minutes past 9, it is time for me to call it quits and head home. The end of, I believe, what this is, day 17. I'm starting to lose track. It's not too bad. Oh, by the way, this is where all the inventory went. I just put it on these shelves, but the movers will be able to grab that. The only thing I'm really leaving for either Monday, if I can get over here, or Tuesday morning, I think we'll go fast. I'm not even sure that those boards are secured into the braces that are holding them. And I know that the pieces, this is like a closet system. You might have this in your closet from Lowe's or one of the other stores. So literally I can just take out like 2 screws. I think those are all on studs, so the screws should come out real easy, and then those just pop off. At the new building, I'm not even sure where I'm going to use that metal closet rack. I'm not even sure if I am going to use it, but I have a lot of pieces here that need to come down, and then I've got these braces here as well that are holding up some old wooden boards, so all of that has to come down. I believe that wooden board that's there, I think that was here already. I'm not sure what the purpose of it was, but I think it was here already. So anyways, I don't have that much more to take down. As I mentioned before, the movers will disassemble this, and hopefully what they're going to do is they'll just be able to pick it up and take the sections, because this is three sections stacked on top of each other. And then what we were trying to do was to use some zip ties just to kind of secure everything to make it work. So I would say this is a good stopping point for me. Honestly, if I didn't hear that little tinkling on the roof, I would be tempted to maybe stay another hour or so and see if I could get all those down. But I feel pretty good about where we are as far as a stopping point with the movers. They're not coming till Tuesday at 9 o'clock. So again, depending on what the weather does, perhaps Monday I can get back out here in the afternoon. I think it is supposed to get above freezing. Normally the road crews and stuff are working on salting the roads and doing all that stuff. So I might be able to get over here and just wrap things up. But, I mentioned, let me just kind of close with this. I mentioned that several times that I had a lot of lumber over here at the building. And so even though I had made all these trips to Lowe's and built all these new shelves and everything, there was a lot of lumber over here. And the reason why I think that was so key for me is that lumber is expensive, y'all. I mean, holy crap. If you go to Lowe's and look at a sheet of plywood, it's like, what? So there's probably, you know, $1,000 or more dollars worth of lumber in this room back here with me. Some of it's not so great. For a while, I was using this type of wood, which is kind of like a underfloor. I'm not even sure what you call that. I can't remember what you call that. I used that for a while because I thought it was pretty heavy duty and cheap. And then Walter had cut these big sheets here. I think these are half of a plywood just split in half. So I think it's 2 feet across. There's a bunch of those. That's what he used on the shelf. And I've got these other ones here. So there's, and then you come over here and see I've got all of this piled up. I mean, look at that. We talked about the OSB board at the other place. Look how far back that goes. All of that OSB board, all of this, all of these are 8-foot long pieces. And then this is all those ladders, like, there's a lot of lumber over here. And so I've got to figure out in the new space, where is all that going to go? My employee, Lori, is very, she's really talented when it comes to figuring out carpentry and stuff. So I might get her advice on building some shelves over there. Whether we modify this ladder system or do something a little different, we'll just have to see. We have a lot of room over there, but the thing I don't want to do is, well, I guess what I have always done is go vertical, right? And so that's kind of just what I think makes the most sense. You pay by the square foot, whether you're leasing in this space or this new building that I bought. Literally, you know, I know exactly what I paid per square foot, right? So for me, what I need to do is have shelving so that I can maximize the space. And, you know, again, if you're going to set it up the first time, try to set it up the way that you want it, you know, permanently, or at least for the first several years. So anyways, I'm real happy with this. I'm going to wrap things up here, shut off the lights, and drive through the sleet. Hopefully it's just now beginning and it won't be a problem. So, you know, but people in the Carolinas, we kind of freak out whenever there's ice and snow and sleet. So the big thing we're worried about, of course, like everybody, is freezing rain. That's been in the forecast, and freezing rain is how you're going to get power lines to come down, whether it's branches that get too heavy from the frozen ice on them and break and you know, trip the power. And so we, at my house, you know, being the good Boy Scout, I've got 2 fully charged 20-pound propane tanks, and I got I have a cook stove, right? Because I'm a scout, right? And I actually went today to the grocery store and bought a few things. We almost never have hot dogs, and so I told my wife, if we lose power, I'm going to make homemade hot dog chili on the camp stove, and I'm going to make us hot dogs. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. Not that I want the power to go out, but I'm like, you know, we never do that. We always might eat a hot dog at a ball game. That's probably the only place. But I don't have a solution for the cold. So we don't have a good supply of firewood right now to throw in our fireplace. We haven't used our fireplace in a long time. And so that's really not an option. And so our house is going to get a little cold if we lose power for days. But hopefully that will not happen. So, all right. Well, again, there's a playlist, as I mentioned before, that you can click to watch all of the episodes in this 30-day series of moving and buying my reseller warehouse. Jason Spangler, I go by SanteeSwapper. Thanks for watching.